how does the defensive depth potentially affect the offense? So we'll talk about that. Will it have any impact on it at all? We're going to look at what's the biggest opportunities for this team to improve. We'll get to a couple more takeaways from the scrimmage and doing a little, probably in a little reverse. A lot of people hit the scrimmage audio from Coach Saban immediately following on Monday. We've talked about it a little bit, but we're going to go back and with this being the hump day edition of the Blitz, we're going to go back and look at some of those comments. And now that we've had enough time to talk about it, dissect it, now let's go back and look and see what he really had to say and see if you can pick up what Nick Saban's biggest concerns are, what's keeping him awake at night. Also, you remember you can interact with us. If you have comments on what Nick Saban has to say, anything I have to say, agree or disagree, give us a call at 205-342-9904. The Taco Casa hotline is open for business. And once again, that's 205-342-9904. And always know that you can post your thought and comments on Facebook Live. Glad that you've chosen to be with us. And we're reminding you, like we do each and every day, that this is the day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice in and be glad in it. So I challenge you to do likewise. Take some time today to notice someone, serve someone, love someone. Be the difference you want to see in the world today. And also, we will wrap up today's Hump Day edition of the Blitz with Scotty Hollins with the Johnson and Marshall Christian moment of the week. I see the phone lines are ringing, and you can make them ring themselves. 205-342-9904. The Taco Casa hotline is open for business. As I said, we want to go back. I know it's a little different. Normally I hit the press conference full speed right off, but we took a little different approach this week. We're going to hear what Coach Nick Saban had to say in his opening comments from the weekend. Can we pick up on it? Then we'll go back and look at some of the questions that were asked by the media. But my question to you is, how do you see the defensive depth affecting the offense? Will it have any impact on the offense? Will it have any impact on who's the starter? Will it have any impact on the play calling? Will it have any impact on how things work out? Before we get to Coach Saban, Gregory calling in this morning wanting to talk about the poll question from yesterday. Gregory, you're in with the Blitz. What's on your mind?
Yeah, roll tide, Martin.
Roll tide.
I just called to answer your question. Yes, with that young defense, if we go fast, it's going to affect our defense because of a proven fact. I think the Rams and Pro had a explosive offense a good little years ago, and they wore their defense out. And that, I'm concerned about, that right there. We can scope a team can catch back up with us. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. When you're in offensive, like think about basketball.
Right.
It took a long time before, and I think people underestimate Golden State's defense, but it took a long time where an offensive-led team, offensive-minded, we're going to outscore you, was able to win championships because you have to have that defense. And I think Golden State plays good defense as well. But the point is, you offense doesn't always travel, and you can have an offensive off day. And when you have that offensive off day, how good is your defense?
Can I ask you another question?
That's the question that I have is can we, for 15 games, have great offense and not have a bad offensive day? Down the line, we will have a little setback. You know what I'm saying? Because, more and more, if I'm a player and the quarterback, run the offense, that's getting the other coaches enough time, you know what I'm saying, to look at the film and study, you know. So, the truth to the fact is, it'll slow us down, you know what I'm saying.
But my thing, you said something about quick release. Yesterday about when Nixie was sending the pressure at Tua,
Mm-hmm.
he was getting that quick relief away, and I was like, okay, they're a good thing, but called a thing called bump and run with the defense. You bump the wide receiver, to get them out the rim, get them out the the count,
Right.
to run
Mess
the
up the
play.
timing.
Yeah, mess up the timing, yes, sir. So, it ain't a good thing, with that quick release sometimes.
Well, I think though, if Tua is releasing it early because the guy's open, then that helps him deal with the pressure. If he's just releasing it, if he's not, I think Tua does a great job reading the defenses. So his early releases are based on pre-reads. The question becomes, can these college coaches confuse him? And if they can, then the quick release could be a liability because he pre-reads so well. If he misreads and then reads and then releases it quick, then it could be. But I think overall his quick release, without a doubt, is an asset for Tua versus a liability for Alabama.
Okay, can I ask you another question?
Go ahead.
I heard Jalen's been doing pretty good in practice and all that. But my thing is, everybody been saying Tua going, everybody picking him to go up to be the Heisman Trophy, and around Tua that our offense clicked so well because he used all the weapons. What if the competition is still so close? If we got a Heisman Trophy candidate, the offense clicking so well, he used all his weapons. Even you said one day that even Jalen play his best game and Tua play his best game, Tua should still win. Why so close?
Well, first of all, me saying if Tua is doing his best, I was referring to passing. If you're looking and Tua plays his best, I mean, and understand when I'm making that statement, I'm saying if these two guys came in together, okay, if there was no experience, and remember, Nick Saban has not said that experience would be a part of the question. You see what I'm saying? He's not said that. So if these two guys came in together, okay, and you were looking at a quarterback, that was going to do what Nick Saban wants, distribution, spreading it around, not looking to make plays with his legs, stand in the pocket, and all of those things. When you look at that from the description that Nick Saban gave, if Jalen plays his best game and Tua plays his best game, that's Tua's game. Okay? But that's what. But that scenario doesn't exist, Gregory. I'm saying that's when you said you were talking about when I said that. I'm referring to it when if all things are equal in that sense, but it's not. You have one guy who's played 28 games of meaning, 29 games of meaningful minutes, started 28 of them, lost 2. You have another guy that played a lot of backup work, looked good doing that, and then played a half of meaningful minutes. So it's not equal in that sense. So what you have to do is now go, okay, how is Nick Saban judging this? Nick Saban is judging it from everything I can see, and from what he's telling us, he's judging it from fall camp. And from fall camp, from start to finish, Tua has been the most consistent. Now, I don't believe that Tua has ran away with it the way everyone else says. I believe I do believe Tua was in the process of pulling away with what he was doing early in camp. And Saturday was an important scrimmage for Jalen in live action. Right. But he had to, but he had to have that type of day to keep it from running away. Now, if you were to ask me, I have not heard anything about practices this week.
I believe by my heart. When Jalen got that fever, he kept it.
And that's what. But even with that, if remember, we don't know what Nick Saban is going to do. If Nick Saban is judging this from the camp and it's close, I agree with Ryan Fowler. Even Ryan said this. If it's close, then Jalen will start. If it's close, okay? But that doesn't mean that Tua isn't ahead of him. Understand this. Being close and Tua being ahead, doesn't mean that Jalen won't start. If it's close, then I think Saban brings experience back into it because he knows what's happening, okay? He knows what he's going to get if it's close. But
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Don't that get a loud Bama fan attention? Like, why y'all keep on talking about close? And Tua coming up to be, the Heisman Trophy. You know what that means? That he can spot the the offense. He's doing everything to make good explosive plays.
But Gregory, it's not close because Tua's not. If it's close, it's not because Tua is playing bad. The only reason this race is going to be close is if Jalen has gotten better. See that? I think that's what people miss is when I talk about what the scrimmage Jalen had on Saturday. Jalen had, in my opinion, a great scrimmage. Mm-hmm. Tua didn't have a bad scrimmage. Tua started off slow. His first 3 possessions were 3 and out. He had like 2 or 3 sacks and almost 2 interceptions. From that point on, Tua was he was vintage Tua. He was making some unbelievable throws and he was making some unbelievable thing. He made a couple other youth mistakes, but that's not. I'm not saying Tua played bad, and that's what people can't. I'm not. I'm not saying he played bad.
Okay, Father. So, I want to make sure that I enjoyed. I thought
absolutely.
All yesterday. My question. So I ain't gonna mess you up.
You ain't gonna. Hey, listen. I try to do it. I try to be fair, and I try to be unbiased. But
yeah, I love calling your show, talking to you about it. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, about our defense. Our depth, you know what I'm saying? Yes, of course, it's going to follow our offense call. We're going to have to really call some plays to really, to go along with our defense. You know what I'm saying? Like, give them enough rest, give them enough time, to get the, what you want, be able to slow the offense line down well. I think they're going to be a big factor this season for us.
Okay.
But the great thing about this right here, you know what I'm saying, we see, but it haven't been proven yet. The real people that love to watch football and remember history, how things, excitement, do evolve around a great team when they play against another great team. It's good to look at both sides of the coin because as you can do that, you might be able to correct some mistakes. I see something that tell the fans not so fast. You know what I'm saying, Mark?
Yeah. All right. Thanks, Greg. I appreciate you,
man. Roll Tide, man.
Roll Tide. All right. Hey, James, we got a new follower on Facebook, Birmingham Rick. Birmingham Rick has 4 words. Tua isn't starting, period. and of course, that leads into another whole discussion. So we'll talk about that more right here on the Blitz. Ryan Fowler did make the statement that if it's close, then you have to go with Jalen because you know what you get. However, let me finish that statement. He doesn't think it's close, okay? So even though he says that, he doesn't feel it's close. I feel like it's a close race. I still think at this point, with 2 weeks left, whoever's the most consistent will end up winning the job. Now, what we've seen through camp so far is Tua has been the one that has been the most consistent. And I have not heard yay or nay whether Jalen followed up the scrimmage with consistent play. And we'll find out that as we continue to move throughout the week. Talking and listening and watching and all those things really going to change a whole lot on what's happening with the quarterback race. But we still like to do it, and you can do it right here on the Blitz. Virgil Williams says, all I've heard Ryan say is we can't afford to let Jalen start because our defense is not strong this year and we need to start fast. And, of course, then he went on. He was referring to the fact of what I said, Ryan had said about if it's close, Jalen starts. He says, now I don't get to listen to his whole show, so I could have missed something. But he followed that statement up by saying that he didn't think the race was close. Kevin Smith saying, from everyone I've talked to, he's outperformed him, speaking of Tua versus Jalen, in fall camp overall. I'm a Jalen supporter, too, ever since he took the first snap, but he has a tall order in front of him. C.J. Watson says, I fully expect when players lineup are announced at Bama-Louisville game and that it'll be announced over the PA starting quarterback Jalen Hurts or Tua. So I'm not sure which one he's saying is going to start. Just like the Dubose, Franchione, Zal Watts days is what he was referring to. So maybe both and or. So we'll have to wait and see. But Nick Saban had some things to say after the scrimmage. And the question that I want to come out of this with is the poll question is, if what Ryan is saying, and I'm hearing a lot of people say the reason we can't afford to start Jalen is because our defense is not strong enough, and that we need to start fast. I'm telling you, if we're having that type of sentiment, I don't know how good we are. I don't know if we're a national championship team, because the reality of it is Jalen's only lost one game each year, and some people say he would have lost two last year had he finished the Georgia game. That's a big possibility, but not a guarantee. But based on how the first half went, it was a likelihood. And that's why Nick Saban made the change. But the question is, in those games, are we expecting to blow out Clemson? Or are we are we expecting the defense to win? I mean, to get better. And if that's the case, the early games don't matter then. Because that's been the reality of the last couple of years. The early games haven't mattered. And we've done that early in the season. We've blown people out. Everybody forgets last year the reason Tua got so much playing time and Jalen's stats were not even higher than what they were last year early on was because Jalen didn't play but the first half of most of the early games. So if that's the case, how do they manage this defense? How do they manage this offense? Will the defensive depth impact the offense? And are you concerned that Alabama's going into a season, in my opinion, for the first time under Nick Saban, not where the offense is great, because I think A.J. McCarron in 2013 was behind a great offense, but it wasn't a have to, right, James? I mean, in 2013, that offense was explosive. That offense was good, but we also had a great defense, and we still lost, okay? So are we saying that we have to have a great, elite offense that has to show up 15 games, or if it doesn't show up 15 games, they better pick one of the weak opponents to not show up? Because there's a team up the coast a little bit that's looking to have an explosive offense, and they got a juggernaut defense, and that's called the Clemson Tigers. And could we be heading down a path once again on a road with a collision with Clemson if everybody is predicting it correctly? And do you think a weak Alabama defense can beat an explosive Clemson offense? Because guess what? Guess what Clemson has? Clemson has Trevor Lawrence, and they have their version of Jalen and their version of Tua. And they're saying that this Trevor Lawrence kid is better than Tua as a freshman. So if that's the case and Clemson comes in and they're a juggernaut on offense and we know what they have on defense, as Dennis Green would say, they are who we thought they were. if that's the case, can this Alabama team win a national championship? Well, we got a lot of time to figure that out. Nick Saban, coming out of a scrimmage, had some concerns, and here are his opening comments.
Well, I think the number one thing, which was the focus after the last scrimmage, was to be able to make some significant improvement from week 1 to week 2, and I certainly saw a lot of areas where we were able to do that. We made a lot more explosive plays today. We're a lot more consistent on offense. We took care of the ball pretty well. Both quarterbacks played well. So I thought the tackling was not as crisp as it needs to be, on defense. And we continue to make probably more mental errors than we're going to be able to tolerate. So the knowledge and experience of continuing to work with guys, working together, communicating is going to be, really, really important. So, we had a couple 2-minute situations at the end of the game that we were, successful at. I thought the specialists did fairly well today. Each of them had, maybe one play they wish they had back, but I was really pleased, with that as well. So I think the big message is the things that we focused on and the things that we worked on, we made improvement on. Like the things that we don't pay attention to detail on, people trying to get the ball out, breaking the ball out, ball security, those types of things that we really make a great emphasis on. We need to continue to create more turnovers on defense. I thought we did a pretty good job of taking care of the ball today on offense. But, why are the best the best? I asked that question yesterday to the team, and I asked them again today. And the first thing you got to do is you got to tell the truth. You got to be truthful with yourself. You can't have some false reality about who you are, what kind of player you are, what you need to do to improve. You got to be truthful with yourself, and then you got to be willing to go prepare and do the things you need to do to be accountable, so that you can do your job and do it on a consistent basis. And I don't think we have enough guys on our team right now that are doing that, and that's something that we definitely need to focus on and work on. So, overall, I'm pleased with the improvement that we made. I'm far from satisfied with where our team is. We got a lot of work to do.
Alabama head coach Nick Saban asking the team why the best, and they need to focus on details, focus on getting their job right and doing their job right. Couple of things I took away from that, James, that I think we need to listen to. The specialists overall did pretty good. He said they all, both of them had a kick they'd like to have. Most likely they have a play or two that they like back. But overall, the kicking was good. They missed a couple, but overall they did pretty good. The big thing you have to be concerned with is tackling and mental breakdowns on defense. That's what Nick Saban's concern is. And my question to you is, he was concerned with that, but also we know that there was several injuries, and the depth at positions at Alabama is now a question mark. And so to me, it's not just the impact on the defense. What impact will the depth issues on defense have on this offense, on the play calling, on the approach to the style? Will Nick Saban, I know one of the things is it doesn't matter what happened. He's looking for balance. But outside of that, what are the other potential impacts to this offense and the ramifications of that? We'll talk about that coming up on the other side. Can this team win a championship if they have to score big time in all the big games? Or can we get through the early part of the season, James, and this defense catch up and the young guys develop depth? Trying to get everything in an hour. That's why we call it the hardest hitting hour of Alabama sports talk on the radio, because we're hitting every topic as much and as deep as possible. Poll question up. How concerned are you that to win a championship, Bama has to have a great offensive game to win all the big ones, LSU, Auburn, SEC championship, college football playoffs. The results, 46% said not at all. Undoubtedly, they're watching a whole nother world than I am. You got to have a little bit of concern. But I tend to agree with the slightly concerned, which was 37%, and 17% is very concerned. Let me tell you where I go from slightly to very concerned. If we have more injuries to the front 11, I become very concerned. Our front 11 is good. Our next 11, young. They may be good. And that's why Alabama needs to win early and often, get ahead early and often, so that the young players can get a lot of experience. And then maybe by the time you get to the LSU, the Auburn, the college football playoffs, the SEC championship games, then you're no longer talking about a young defense. You're talking about guys and players who've played a lot. We got a lot of comments happening on Facebook, but Virgil wants to get in on the quarterback conversation. Virgil, welcome into the Blitz. What's on your mind?
Good morning, Martin.
Good morning, sir. Roll Tide.
You know, we keep talking about the scoring early and often.
Yeah.
And then the 3 and out.
Yeah.
And my point that I want to make, and there's a couple of different things here because we keep talking about having the great players and being number one at this and number one at that. We might not have been number one in every category last year. We were number one in the one that mattered, and that was the championship. Because, like I've said all year, it's a team sport. It's not a one-player sport. It's not a offensive sport. It's not a defensive sport. It's not a special team sport. That's why Saban always talks about it's the complete game. But everybody talks about we need two in there. We need to score early to get the defense off the field or whatever, to give them some rest. We don't need the 3 and outs to keep them out there. Well, if we score early, what's the difference in if we go out there, play 3 plays, and we score, or we go out there and have 3 plays and it's 3 and out? That argument really does, other than we get 7 points, we do get 7 points. Right. I'm not going to take that away.
And
we do get the point.
That's the argument.
Okay. Well, last year, how come Tua got to play so much the first half of the game?
Because
we scored early. We scored often.
Yeah, and let me read what CJ said about that. I think the scoring early and often last year actually hurt Bama's offense a little last year, in that when it didn't happen, the offense struggled with 3 and outs. It seemed more mental. I think it may have been more on Dable than on players. That's CJ Watson's thoughts there. But you're right. We did score early a lot. And I felt like because we were scoring early, we really didn't – early on, Jalen didn't develop and have an opportunity to really put himself in a stressful situation early on because we were blowing everybody out. So where we thought maybe he had improved, then when we get to a tough game, we see that there were still some things that were challenges. And I think you could have the same thing with this offense. And Virgil, I'm like you. Yes, you get the 7 points, and you want 7 points. If you're gonna score quick versus going 3 and out, you want to go and score quick. The question becomes, how much ahead do you have to get for that philosophy to work and not wear your defense out? Is it 3 touchdowns? Is it 3 touchdowns that you're ahead that you feel comfortable that the other team can't come back? Or you keep pointing on no matter what? That's the question that you have to ask. In the past, when we got ahead by 2 or 3 touchdowns, we had a defense that wasn't going to let the other team get back in it.
Well, and also we play in the SEC. We're not in the Pac-12. We're not in the ACC where it's who can score the most. This is a conference that has always been. We've had closer games most of the time. And it comes down to the end of the trenches. That's where we've won the games. And I don't think we need to try to – and I'm not saying that Tua is not a great player, and that's what everybody keeps saying when I say this. I'm just saying that it's more than just one person. Well, we have had Heisman Trophy winners in the past. Last year, the Heisman Trophy winner. Where did his team wind up?
Close, but no cigar.
Fourth in the nation?
I mean, Oklahoma would be Alabama based on the way people are saying it last year. Remember? Oklahoma was the offensive – Oklahoma's team last year was what? A bona fide, legitimate Heisman Trophy-led offense that scored a lot of points. But their defense couldn't stop nobody. Right. Until they were winning up until they ran into a team that had offensive productivity and a great defense. And that's what happened against And that's what my point – that's my point behind if we're headed on a collision course with Clemson, are we in trouble? Are we in trouble because Clemson is going to have an offense that can score like Georgia's, and they're going to have a defense like Georgia had last year, and will we beat Oklahoma 2018? And that's the question. I got another call coming in, Virgil, but you got anything else for me?
No, that's it. I'm just ready to see some football played, and I'm going out there with DC. I think first game you see both of them on the field start.
Oh, I think Saban will do that just to get all of us, media people. He'll have both of them out there, and then he'll snap it to Damian because the question is who's going to take the first snap. Neither one of them, and both of them were on the field. So that would be typical Nick Saban, but we'll see. Thanks, Virgil.
Roll Tide.
Roll Tide. All right, Pat, welcome in, man. We don't have long, Pat, but go ahead and take care of it.
Quick, yeah. Who do you think is going to have the most prolific offenses in the SEC that we are going to face other than Georgia?
Missouri.
Missouri, that quarterback's great.
That quarterback can sling it, son. Drew Lock can sling it. So I think Missouri's going to have a very good offense. The one I'm interested to see is Mississippi State. I don't know if you got to watch Penn State much, but
Penn State was very good offense.
Right.
That was their offensive coordinator.
Correct.
That's what they're worried about with Penn State right now is whether or not they can come back from no offensive coordinator.
And they have some of the same weapon type players that Penn State had. Of course, they don't have Barkley at Mississippi State. So it'll be interesting to see what they're able to do. But don't underestimate this first game looking like a prolific offense with Petrino. He's had all season to get ready. And what we had Saturday was a defense that had some mental breakdowns. And he is going to move, shift, cross, pick plays, all of those things to mess up our defense to try to create some plays. So I know we're 24 points better than – I mean, we're probably 4 touchdowns better than them talent-wise, but scheme-wise, if he can figure out how to get some mismatches in the secondary, he could make this game interesting early.
But do you not feel that defensive backfield was not fouled up by some of the finest wide receivers that Alabama's ever put on the field at one time?
Oh yeah, don't get me wrong.
And slot receivers, and hey, the tight ends. You've got to watch our tight ends. If you don't, you're in trouble.
Hey, the thing with I absolutely agree with you in terms of our wide receivers. That's what I told someone yesterday. Sometimes in scrimmage, you're not sure if it's that one team's good and the other one's bad, or they're both bad, or they're both good. Mm-hmm. But Pat, I'm gonna have to let you run. But our wide receivers yesterday, on Saturday, and our quarterback play on Saturday had a lot to do with the success or the negativity. But the concern was that there was times when the defense mentally messed up, not physically messed up. Mentally was in the wrong spot, let a guy run wide open. Those are the things that I'm saying Petrino is going to try to create. He's going to try to mess up those young DBs.
But hey, Petrino hasn't had Raekwon Davis, who's a grown man, coming after that quarterback. Hey, when one aspect, all he wants to do is kill that quarterback. Y'all have a blessed day.
Have a good one. All right, thanks, Pat.
Bye.
All right, bye.